Congressman and member of the House Judiciary Committee, Russell Fry. Congressman Fry, thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday. Nice to see you.
Of course. Thanks, Anna.
So we know Republicans are pushing for a 3-year extension for the spy mechanism known as FISA. It allows the government to surveil non-U.S. citizens outside U.S. borders. But we also know some House Republicans are vehemently against any extension. Does this 3-year extension have the support?
I think it's more palatable than the version that we saw just a couple weeks ago. And so discussions are certainly ongoing. And I think the right balance here, the tricky balance here that really divides Democrats and Republicans, not with each other, but amongst the parties, is some people tend to be more national security focused, the speed at which we can obtain this information. But there are a lot of people in both parties that say, hey, we also need to safeguard American citizens and their right to privacy under the Fourth Amendment. And so that is the balance in which we find ourselves, and what are the mechanisms in which that is it appropriate to go and surveil Americans that may be engaged, may not be engaged. What we've seen before is a very troubled history with the use of FISA under Section 702 in targeting Americans really recklessly, looking at prior girlfriends and looking very abstractly at thousands of Americans without any degree or nexus to a national security concern. And so this is an ongoing target, and making sure that enforcement is there. Guardrails to safeguard the constitutional liberties of Americans are there. So it's not an easy issue. And for those that are in the center of the room, it really divides Congress along party lines within each other.
And when you talk about those guardrails, you've pushed for FISA reforms in the past. So what specifically do you want to see? What would those guardrails look like that are acceptable in your eyes?
Well, I think having an attorney review any surveillance of Americans is, I think, an easy one. I personally lean more toward having a warrant, but having something in there that just doesn't let unfettered access to FISA 702 based on any agents or any employee of the FBI's, I guess, desire to go search on any key term. That's crucial to me, that this information is collected overseas. It's for foreigners, but sometimes Americans are swept up because they're mentioned in these documents. And so to what extent are Americans or U.S. persons involved in any terror plot? That is kind of the key here. But making sure that we're not just allowing unfettered access by the government to Americans' private data. I think that's fundamentally un-American. That's why we have the Fourth Amendment. And so this is certainly a tricky issue. I give a tremendous credit to Rick Crawford and Jim Jordan for kind of navigating this and trying to come up with the right balance.
All right, let's switch gears and talk about this spat that's been going on between Jimmy Kimmel, late-night comedian, and President Donald Trump for quite some time. While a lot of our viewers were sleeping last night, Kimmel took another swipe at the president. But all of this comes as we're also learning that the FCC is taking an early look at ABC's licenses. And so some critics are wondering if this is the government trying to censor free speech. Is it?
No, I don't think it is at all. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel certainly obviously can say what he wants to, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it complies with the license requirements of the federal government. I think the agencies routinely look at programming that is on the air. Certainly, just as a person, I think Jimmy Kimmel's comments are really reprehensible in a lot of ways, and I think it calls to question is, why does ABC even have him on the air to begin with? This is a guy who has gone after President Trump in really a tasteless way in a time of national unity where we can all, in a bipartisan way, call out violence or violent rhetoric against officials in Congress and certainly the White House. He seems to be doubling down on it and making light of it. This is not a time to make light of or jokes about the health of the president. It's a time of national unity, and to call out these violent incursions that continue to happen against this president.
Yeah, look, it's an odd choice to me that the comics late at night seem to keep doing this, and that their producers want them to keep doing this, and the executives allow them to keep doing this, just even from a financial standpoint, because you're alienating half the country at least. Great to see you today, Congressman Russell Fry. Appreciate you being here to go over some of the top headlines of the day. Have a nice day. All right.